today's agenda. As I mentioned, today we are going to cover Canvas Gradebook. So I will walk you through the steps of how you can create graded assignments and how you can grade your assignments in the gradebook and how the grades look in the assignments in Canvas. Obviously, I will go through everything through with a live demo. And as I mentioned, we are going to have a live Q&A at the end of our session. So while I'm demoing, I will be back and forth between Canvas Gradebook and the Canvas Gradebook setup, which is the assignments. Let me actually stop sharing this screen and let me switch to the Canvas. Courtney, can you see my Canvas screen?
I can currently see your PowerPoint, so you might
Okay.
have to stop sharing and
Yeah,
reshare.
okay. Let me stop my sharing my screen. Thanks, Courtney.
Of course.
And share my. Is it good now?
Yes, it is. Now we see your Canvas screen.
Thank you.
Of course.
And let me go to the to my course course homepage actually. As I mentioned, throughout this workshop, I will be back and forth between the grades and the assignments. In Canvas, there are actually two ways that you can create your graded assignments, or you can set them up. So as you're creating your discussions, graded discussions, or quizzes on exams, or your assignments, basically the folders for online submission of the documents, you are creating your graded assignments. Unlike Beachboard, in Beachboard, we had to create each as a graded assignment, for example, quizzes, exams, drop boxes, graded discussions, and we had to create our graded assignments, then link those two items with each other. In Canvas, we don't have to do that. It's pretty automated. So as you're creating your graded assignments, the grade item will be created automatically. And they will be housed under the assignments. So in Canvas, the assignments tool or the feature has two functionalities. It houses basically your gradebook. So you can set up your gradebook under the assignments, and also you can create folders for your students' online submission of documents. As you can see in my sandbox course, I have the assignments category. I have the discussions, quizzes, and exams. And also I have extra credit that I will go over at the end of our session. So basically, these are the four groups that I have under the assignments in my gradebook setup. We used to have in Beachboard, we have grade categories. So for example, you have your discussion categories, exams categories, quizzes categories, and inside each of the category, you can house your discussions. Inside the exams category, for example, you can house your midterms and final exam. Just the naming convention and the vocabulary is a little different in Canvas. So in Canvas, we don't call them categories, it's called groups. So if I want to create a group, I will just click on the plus group tab, which is located on the upper right side corner of the page. And I can just type a group. For example, if I want to name it case studies, for example. And I can just create a new group. If I save it, the new group will be created. And I will house all the case studies grade items within this category. As you're creating new groups or categories, they will land in the bottom of the screen. And you can hover your mouse on the far left side of the group, and you can move it wherever you want. Also, if you click on this 3 dots, which is called the option menu, which is located on the far right side of the group that you have just created, you can edit this group, you can delete it, you can move its content, or you can move its own up and down, or you can put it into commons favorite. At the moment, I will delete this case studies group because I want to just stick with the groups that I already have in here. So that's how you can create groups in Canvas. Let me switch back to the grades from here. As I mentioned, I'm going to be back and forth between grades and assignments. Okay. Let me actually go back to assignments. I want to show you one more thing, then I will come back. So in assignments, you can see that within the assignments group, I have all these assignments, and these are basically the equivalent of the Dropbox items. I have housed my discussions within the discussion group and the quizzes and exams that I already showed you. If I go to the grades, you can see that all my grade items are listed in here. So my quizzes, assignments, the discussions, all my grade items are housed. Basically, they are located, Canvas will locate them in the far left side of the gradebook, and all the groups will be housed on the right side of the gradebook. So this is the extra credit, the exams group, the quizzes and discussions, and assignment. As you can see, if I hover my mouse in here, Canvas will not allow me to enter any grade for the groups. Why? Because these groups will have the sum of all the grades which are within the discussions, or the grade items which are within the assignments. As I'm grading, the sum of those grades will be updated under each of the group, which is located on the far right side of my screen. The view that we are having in here, this is the standard gradebook view. However, we have a few more options. If I click on the gradebook, which is located on the upper left corner of my gradebook screen, I have the learning mastery. We have the individual gradebook view option and gradebook history option. At the moment, and maybe for a couple of semesters, we will just stick with the gradebook view, which is the standard view. Since we are at the beginning, we don't want the faculty to be confused, so we'll just stick with the gradebook view, which is the standard view. Also, in this screen, Canvas does give the user, the faculty, some shortcuts. Feel free to use these keyboard shortcuts. You can import a CSV file into Canvas, and you can export your gradebook as your entire gradebook, or the view that you currently have for your use. We have the gradebook setting icon, which is a geared icon, which is located on the upper right corner of your gradebook screen. And if I click on this, the gradebook setting options or tool, you can see that some more options are available in here. The very first option is the late policies. So if you want, you can select late policies for your entire course. So based on the needs and based on the level of your course, you can set grades for the missing submissions, for the late assignments, how much you want to deduct, and what the lowest possible grade you want to give for your students. So it's absolutely optional, and based on the needs of your course, you can set the late policies. The next option is the grade policy posting policy. Some faculty do not want students to see their grades as they're taking the exam. And by default, Canvas set the grade posting policy by selecting the manually post grades. So as you're grading your students' assignments, students will not be able to see their grades unless you change it to automatically post grade. So if you change it to automatically post grade as you're grading or as the students are taking quizzes or exams, they will be able to see their grades automatically. However, if you change it, if you stick with the manually post grades, then once you're done and once you're confident that the students' grades are good and students are ready to see their grades, you can go and hide that grade item for students. And I will go over that in a few minutes, that how you can make certain grades which are ready, make it visible for students. The advanced option only have the allow final grade override. Again, based on the needs of your course, you can select this and you can apply settings. The last option, which is the view options, has some view options for you. So you can, by clicking on the arrange by, you have some options. For example, I have arranged my grades based on module first to last. So as the students are taking exams or taking as I'm grading and as the semester is progressing, they can see that each of the columns are getting populated with their grades. So I have selected, I have arranged my grade book by first to last and based on modules. You have some more options. You can select the default order, or you can choose by assignment name A to Z or Z to A, or you can arrange it by due date from oldest to newest or newest to oldest, from points lowest to highest or highest to lowest, by module first to last or module last to first. Also, if if you want, you can select status colors for late assignments, missing assignments, resubmitted, dropped, or excused assignments. And you don't have to stick with these colors. These colors are editable. And if you click on the pencil, you can change the color of any of the status color of any of the missing or late or dropped assignments that you want. As you're making changes into your gradebook settings, please make sure to, at the end, to click apply settings so your changes can be applied to your gradebook. Besides the general gradebook setup and the view that you have, there's a number of settings and options for each of your grade items. So for example, if I hover my mouse over midterm 2, you can see that the options or the options menu, or some people call it the snowman or the kebab menu, it gets activated. If I click on it, then Canvas will allow me to sort just this specific grade item by a grade low to high, high to low, missing or late. Also, I can use the speed grader option that I will go in more detail in a few minutes. The next option is message students who. So for this particular grade, if you want, you can message certain students who, for example, you have a few options. Canvas gives you a few options. You can message students who have not submitted their assignments yet, who have not been graded yet, or who have scored more than. For example, if I click score more than, you want to congratulate students who have received more than 90%, for example. Or you want to send a message or warning message or a notice to students who have received less than 70%. So you can select on message sent to, then since in here I don't have anybody, then the number of students will show. Let me see, have not submitted, for example, 4 students will show, and you can see who will be those participants. You can see their names and you can delete or like make some modification in here. It's up to you. So obviously you will have your subject in here, and you can type your message in under the message box. And as soon as you have a message, you can send the message to your participants. Let me select all students. So obviously the send icon will be activated and you can send this message. You can attach, before sending, you can attach documents, or you can record an audio or video comment for your students. So if you don't feel like typing, or if you don't want to type, you can just record an audio or video comment for your students and you can send it to your students. The next item under the menu for midterm 2 is curve grades. You can curve students' grades for any of these particular grade assignments, but be careful when you curve, Canvas will not let you undo the curve. So as you can see, there is a warning. So as you're curving, if you select to curve, so be very careful that since the Canvas will not let you undo the curve. Set default grade. For example, you want to give your students participation points. And you want, for example, students who have been in the course or who have participated in a certain assignment, or they have been in class, or they have showed up, you can give all those students a set, for example, 5 points. You can click on set default grade. And for example, let me select a different grade item. So for example, for discussions, I want to give all, this is sorry, that's a group. So for example, for assignments, test 2, where is it? Wow, just giving me a hard time. Yeah. Set default grade. I want to give everybody 5 points. And I will set default grades. And everybody in this assignment will receive 5 points. As you can see, all of the grade items are hidden other than the practice assignment. So if I want to post the grades for students, as I mentioned previously, once you're confident and that the grades are ready for students to see, you can click on post grades. Canvas will ask you, you have 5 hidden. Do you want to enable it for all 5 students, for everyone? You can say yes. And as soon as I click post, this grade item will be available for students and they can see this grade item in their gradebooks. If I want to hide grades, I can just click on hide grades. Canvas will ask me again, and if I select hide, the grade item will be hidden from students. Canvas gives you option to enter grades as points or percentages, and also for grade posting policy, under the view up under the settings, you had the option to post grades for the for the overall course for all grade items, but for each individual grade item, you can change it to automatically as soon as the student takes a quiz or an exam, or as soon as you post the grade, students can automatically see the grades, or if you want to stick with the manually post the grades, so you have this option within the grade, each grade item as well. Okay, let me make sure that I'm covering everything. Okay, so let me switch back to the assignments. And in here, it's always ideal to have weighted grade items, grade books for your courses, but still it's optional. At the moment, my book is not weighted. I just have points. But if I want to change this to a weighted gradebook, I would click on the three dots, which is located on the right side of the assignment plus assignments icon on the upper right corner of my screen. And if I click on assignment group weights, it will take me to assignment groups weight. If I click on this little checkbox where it says weight final grade based on assignment groups, then I will have the option of selecting like putting weights for each of my groups. So for example, for my assignments, I want to have 25%. 25% for my discussions, 25% of the grade will be assigned to the quizzes, and 25% for the exams. If you remember, Beachboard would warn the user if the total of or the sum of the weighted grade would have been more than 100 or less than 100%. If the total of your groups weight would not equal to 100%, you will receive a warning. But in Canvas, if it is less than, for example, in here, if I have 5, Canvas will not give me a warning. It will just add them to the percentage which I have for my groups. So that's one thing that you can keep in mind because Canvas will not warn you. I will save. So you can see that now my gradebook has changed to a percentage, and I have a certain percentage for each of the groups. And based on that, for each of the assignments, but the assignments that I have within each of these groups, they are still points, and you have that option. How you can create graded assignments. For example, if I go to quizzes, and you can create that anywhere. For example, in assignments, if I click on this plus sign, I can add an assignment. For example, I can change it to an assignment, or I can create a discussion, a quiz, an external tool. For example, if you're using a Gradescope, Pull Everywhere, or any of the external tools that we have available within Canvas. Or if you want, you can have a non-graded item. These are the options that you have. For example, I will create a quizzes, a graded quiz. So I can name it, quiz 5, for example. You can set a due date. You can enter points, for example. If I save and publish, it will be just saved and published, and students will have access to it. If I just click save, it will be created, but students will not have access to it. However, if I click on more options, then it will take me to the quiz tool. And in here, there are some features that just since it's not related to this workshop, I will not go over these features. These features have been covered in other workshops. So I can click on save or save and publish so students can have access to this particular quiz. Okay, so as you can see, as you're creating new graded assignments, they land in the bottom of that particular the assignments, that particular group that you have created. If I want, I can move this quiz. If I click on edit, name quiz, more options. Let me see. I should be able to move it from assignments group to the quizzes group. I will save it. So Canvas moved the new created quiz, which is quiz 5, to the quizzes category. Okay, let me make sure that I have created, I am covering everything in here. Also, within each of the groups that you have under the assignments, for example, within quizzes, if I click on these 3 dots and if I click on edit, I can edit this group's name, its percentage. Also, if I want the certain number of scores to be ignored for each student, I can set the lowest score that can be ignored or dropped, or the highest score if you want. I don't know how you will be, like I haven't used the highest score to be dropped. You can set that. So basically there are some more features, or if you want to select never drop, or if you want to add an assignment. So there are some more features under the edit for each of the groups. As you're making your changes, please make sure to save your changes for the group. Let me switch back to the grades. Okay. So under the grades, if you want to just enter grades, for example, for you have as for example, you have a an assignment, maybe it's a paper assignment that you want to enter your student grade manually. You can just click, if you click on a certain, for example, for each student, you can just click and you can enter grades. So that's how you can grade, enter grades for each of the grade items. As I mentioned, you also have the speed grader option. So if I click on speed grader, Canvas will open a new window for me, which will take me to the speed graders window. In a speed grader, first I want to go over what you have in speed grader. In the upper right corner, you will have a student's name, and there is a right left arrow through which you can go to the next student or to the previous student. You will see the percentage of this grade item within that category, how the points that students have received or will receive, how many students have been graded so far. Also, if I go to the left, you can see the title of the this assignment, the due date. Also, you have the settings for this particular grade item. So you can have the options, keyboard, and the help option. You can see if the grade item is posted or it's hidden. And also the very last item is the gradebook. If I click on the gradebook, Canvas will take me back to the Canvas gradebook for this course. If I want to, like with the use of Gradescope, I'm sorry, Speed Grader, I can just type students' grades. Say, for example, I want to give 250 since it's to 489 points for this student. If I want to type comments, I can type comments in here. I can add emojis, and there is the emoji bank. You can select any emoji that you wanted to. Also, if you want, you can create your comments bank, and basically you can, or the comments library, and you can use your comments bank or library. I believe it is not just within this course. You can, I believe you can use it across Canvas, but you can create some comments and you can just add them in here. And if you don't feel like typing each time, you can just come to the comments library and you can add them for students. Let me go back, and as I mentioned, you can type your comments, or you can use the speech to text. So for example, if I click on records and if I type good job, Canvas will detect my speech and it will type it as comments in here. This is what I have done in here, I think. You can also record your comments as a media, maybe audio or video. You can upload documents or any attachments to this comment. So as you're typing, once you're done commenting and grading, you can click submit and you can move back and forth to students. If you want to jump from one student to maybe to another student, you also have the option, this little drop down menu. I hope you can see it. I will allow you to move in between students in your course. As you're making changes and you're submitting, please make sure to submit so your changes and your comments are added. Okay, let me close this. Or if you have, for example, if you're asking your students to submit their documents and you want to create the online submitted documents with the use of the speed grader, you can do that. It's pretty handy. So if I click in here and if I click on speed grader, I can see student submissions. Let me see. I have a paper. Yes. So as students are submitting their documents, you have, you can enable your, if you have a rubric, you can have, just open your rubric on the right side of your screen. And as you're reading, you can create using with the use of your rubric. Also, Canvas gives you option to, if you want to like draw a box, or if you want to, let me delete this, okay, or if you want to draw a line, you can do that. If you want to just cross a line, you can do, and you can leave comments. You can use the text and just type, like, for example, if you want to leave a comment with the use of text, you can highlight. Should let me highlight. And as you're highlighting, as you're crossing, Canvas allows you to leave comments for the highlighted area or crossed area. Again, for example, for annotation, you can leave a comment. You can, if I click on this little cursor, it will take me back to the cursor area. You can zoom in, zoom out, and you can click, if you want to have a full screen, you can change to full screen, then you can zoom in so you can have a bit, you can see the paper better. You can see how many pages this document has, how many pages that particular student have submitted, and in which page you are. Also, you have the option of downloading students' submission for each of the students that you're looking. Also, Turnitin is integrated with Canvas, so you can see the plagiarism or the originality check for each of the submitted documents, submitted assignments. And so, for example, as I mentioned previously, you can grade in here. You can leave your comments. Has the same functionality as I mentioned previously. And as you're making changes, please click and make sure to submit. So as you're moving forward to the next students, your previous students, the changes, the comments that you have left, and the annotation that you have created within that document can be saved for each of the students. Okay. So we have, I am done. Let me see. I want to make sure that I have covered everything. I am just reviewing my notes. Okay, yes, no, I'm not done. Let me cover the gradebook, the extra credit actually. So as I mentioned, let me go back to the assignment. So if you remember, and Beachboard, the tool gives the faculty option to create extra credit, like grade items for extra credit. Canvas so far doesn't have that feature. However, there is an easy way to create extra credits. You can do that by creating a group item, and you can just put 0% on this group item. And as you're adding extra credit items into graded items within the extra credit group, those extra credit will be added to your students' overall grade. So this is how you can just create extra credit group and extra credit grade item, which will give your students extra credit for the course. As you can see, the very first item in my course, this is the grade item. And you can create as many extra credit graded items for your course. And with the extra credit, I will conclude and I will open the floor for questions.